He rescued a lioness named Amara and became her entire world, until officials took her away without warning, erasing every trace of where she went. No address, no goodbye, just silence, as if their bond never mattered. But fate had other plans, Amara remembered. She waited, searched, and found her way back. But just wait until you see how this emotional journey turns, and why, in the end, justice finally found its way home. Stephen Marshall, once a brave field responder for a wildlife rescue organization in southern Africa, had spent the last 8 years hidden away on a quiet stretch of land in Montana, a solitary ranch surrounded by windswept plains, weather-beaten fences, and silence. That was his world now, and it hadn't always been this way. There was a day, years ago, when life pulsed with urgency and purpose. That was the day he met her. Amara. She wasn't just a lioness. She was barely clinging to life, dragged from a traveling circus in Namibia, her paws raw from chains, her joints stiff from years in a cage far too small. She didn't growl, she didn't flinch. She just looked at him with those amber eyes, exhausted but not broken. Stephen stayed up for nights nursing her. He fed her warm milk from a bottle, one trembling paw wrapped around his arm like a newborn. He taught her how to walk again, how to trust, how to play. In the stillness of those African evenings, with the sun melting into the horizon, she would press her forehead against his chest and purr. Not like a house cat, but like something ancient remembering comfort. She became more than a rescue. She became his reason. Then, just like that, she was gone. After a shift in wildlife legislation, the government reassigned several exotic animals, including Amara. A notice was never sent. No goodbye. Stephen returned from a short mission to find her enclosure empty, the gate ajar, the scent of her still in the air. They'd transferred her to a private rehabilitation center, where they wouldn't say. He fought. He wrote letters, filed petitions, tracked down colleagues, all dead ends. And slowly, something in him shut off. He stopped taking animals, stopped answering calls from former teammates. The sound of laughter from a nearby ranch became unbearable. Even the photos of Amara, those precious, faded snapshots, were packed away into a torn shoebox beneath the old couch he never sat on anymore. Stephen became a ghost in his own life. Then, one warm spring morning, something changed. A white van kicked up dust as it rolled into his driveway. At first, he thought it was just another lost traveler, but the people who stepped out had cameras, microphones, press badges. One of them, a young filmmaker named Brian, said he was working on a documentary about wildlife reunions and long-lost bonds between humans and animals. Stephen nearly closed the door until Brian pulled out a tablet. "I want to show you something," he said. On the screen was shaky footage taken in Kenya, a lioness approaching a safari vehicle, but not with aggression. There was no growl, no stalking. Instead, she pressed her face to the glass, gently. Her tongue touched the window, her golden eyes wide and searching. Stephen squinted. "Pause it," he whispered. Brian did. There it was, her right ear, split down the center, a scar from an old injury when she got caught in circus fencing. Stephen took a step back. His hands were trembling. "That ear," he said. He knew it like his own heartbeat. "That's her. That's Amara." And just like that, after 8 years of silence, a flicker of something long buried returned to his voice. Hope. Stephen couldn't believe what he was hearing. After 8 years of silence, 8 years of unanswered questions and sleepless nights, someone had just told him that Amara was alive. He sat there frozen, the tablet still in his lap, heart pounding in his chest like it hadn't in years. Brian's voice cut gently through the silence. "She lives in a semi-open reserve just outside Nairobi," he explained. "They couldn't release her into the wild, not fully. Her behavior toward humans, it's too affectionate, too trusting. She doesn't behave like the other lions." Stephen looked up, his eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Brian smiled softly. "She waits by the visitor point sometimes. Not every day, but often. She just stands there scanning faces. She'll approach the window slowly, stare in, like she's looking for someone." Stephen felt the world tilt. His throat tightened. His first instinct was denial. This was too much, too sudden, too good. But deep down, something in him stirred, the part that had never really let go. He packed in 2 days, just a single duffel bag, a weathered photo of her tucked safely between his shirts. The journey to Kenya was long, heavy, and full of restless silence. He didn't sleep on the plane. He barely spoke to anyone. His hands shook more than he admitted. What if she doesn't remember me? What if she's moved on? What if this breaks me all over again? By the 3rd day, Stephen found himself walking a narrow path through the golden grass of the reserve. His guide, a quiet man named Daniel, led him toward an open enclosure bordered by low trees and secured fencing. A few lions roamed freely within the designated zone, powerful, majestic, beautiful. 3 lionesses grazed lazily in the warm sun. One of them stood up. She didn't roar, she didn't crouch. She simply lifted her head, ears forward, and turned. Stephen's breath caught. She took a step, then another. Slowly, deliberately, she moved toward the fence, her eyes locked on him. Halfway there, she paused, her head tilted slightly, as if something inside her was processing. Then she blinked, and something shifted. She moved faster now, not in alarm, but in urgency. And then she made a sound, a deep, rolling vibration from her chest, not aggressive, not territorial. It was soft and broken, like a memory trying to find its voice. Stephen's knees gave out. He dropped to the ground, overcome by a wave of emotion so powerful he couldn't hold it in. His eyes brimmed with tears as the lioness reached the fence and stood up on her hind legs, pressing her paws gently against the metal barrier. She leaned forward, her nose sniffing the air. Then, in a moment so intimate it felt like the whole world had gone quiet, she licked at the air between them, slowly, carefully, recognizing his scent. And then came the sound, the one he knew, that guttural, chest-born rumble she used to make when she was a cub, when she wanted to be held, when she wanted him close. He whispered her name. Amara. She didn't need prompting. She already knew. Stephen wept, not from grief, but from the weight lifting off his chest, from the truth settling in. She hadn't forgotten, not even close. All these years, the silence, the aching, she had felt it too. She had been looking for him, just as he had never stopped looking for her. In the days that followed, Stephen returned to the reserve every morning. At first, he stayed behind the fence. Amara would come to him slowly, pressing her face where his hand rested, listening as he spoke. Each day, the space between them grew smaller. Soon, with the vet's permission, he stepped inside. She walked straight to him, calm and sure. She nudged his shoulder, rubbed her face along his arm, then curled beside him and exhaled, deeply, as if something inside her had settled. Her movements were no longer wild. They were gentle, familiar. She didn't just recognize him, she chose him. Stephen began to breathe differently too. He spoke of the future for the first time in years. He promised to create the Amara Foundation, to fight illegal wildlife captivity and share their story. People listened, because Amara changed more than just him. She changed everyone who saw them together. On his final night, he sat beside her under the fading light. She lay down at his side, her body pressed against his, like an old friend returning to rest. He stroked her mane and whispered, "You found me. Thank you." At dawn, he left. But this time, he didn't feel alone. He knew now. The soul he once saved had never stopped searching. And she had found her way back.